Welcome to another edition of Getting to Know Our Members. I'm joined today by long-time friend Darin Finlay. How you doing, Darin?
Pretty good, mate. Pretty good.
Yeah, mate, you've been a South supporter for a long time, but first of all, tell us a bit about yourself, where you grew up, what you do for a living, how old you are and all that.
Well, I'm 50. I grew up in Bonnyrigg, which is near Mount Pritchard. Actually played cricket for Mount Pritchard and in the juniors. Didn't do very well, but anyway. And now I've lived Ingleburn, Macquarie Fields for like last 20, 25 years. So,
Okay.
and I work as a kitchen hand. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Now, you've been a South supporter for us ever since I've met you in that, and I've probably met you back in the mid to late 90s and that.
Yep.
But how did you become a South supporter?
Well, it was just a family thing, you know. My auntie, God bless her soul, now it's gone, but she used to tell me that in 1975, we were the first ones through the gates at Redfern. She carried me through the gates when I was 3 weeks old, so it just started from that, really, and, you know.
Oh, there's a lot of stories. A lot of the people that I've spoken to already, they've got the same story about family members,
Yep.
and it's quite a regular thing that, you know, if your family member's a South fan, they're going to pass it down to you. So you carry on the tradition as well. So we see that, and you know, you've been to many games over the years, and a lot of times back in the 80s, you were there at Redfern Oval. Any memories from those days?
The early memories from Redfern were mainly of playing up on the hill, really, not many of the games, because I was too young back in those days. But one game that stands out was a game against Manly in '86. Neil Baker kicked chip and chase and try, and Mario Fennick going from dummy half, and I went nuts, absolutely nuts, because he was my favourite player back then. So, yeah, that '86 game against Manly really stands out in the memory bank.
Well, you speak about favourite players there. You mentioned Mario being one of your favourites, and tell us some more of your favourite players over the years.
Well, my first favourite was actually Kenny Stewart, so I must have had a thing for the hookers back then. And I remember, I think I was 5, and we're at Henson Park, and I'll have to find the photo. I actually found it a couple of years ago, a photo of me and Kenny at Henson Park.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's great. And what about more recent times? What kind of, you know, any sort of players there that you find that you really look up to?
In the modern times, probably Bo Champion was my favourite.
Nice, South Junior as well.
South Junior, and he remembered me when I used to call 2SM all the time and speak to him on the radio. So,
well, you're actually quite known for talkback radio.
Oh yes, I know.
Daz from Macfields is what you're known as. You're speaking to a lot of. Who's your favourite person to talk to, and what's your favourite radio station in that?
Favourite radio station right now is SEN and Jimmy Smith, because I've followed him from 2SM to 2KY to SEN. So, yeah.
Okay. So, you know, we'll talk a bit later about the 2014 Grand Final and that, because that's obviously the pinnacle of all our memories and that. But what are some games over the years that stood out to you?
Well, I tell you, the earliest game I remember being at, as a 6-year-old, was the Midweek Cup final when we beat Cronulla 10-2. I don't remember a lot of the game from back then. I've seen it on YouTube since. But I remember we were sitting pretty close to the fence on the grandstand side. And I just remember when we won, like just standing at the bottom of the stairs and patting them all on the back and, you know, thinking how great this is. South have won, you know. I mean, as a 6-year-old, I didn't know that weren't the main competition. It just South won something, you know. So it was just, it was a great night. It was a great atmosphere. And
well, what about regular season games? You know, there's been many over the years that stick in the mind. Any number. What sticks out to you?
99, the first game of the year against Canterbury, because of what it meant. I know it didn't go our way at the end of the year, like with staying in the comp and everything, but that was such an emotional game. And when Wing scored right in front of us, that was just fantastic.
Well, if we remember, he actually scored just before that.
Yes, and it was disallowed.
Yeah, but it got called back because Brett Rodwell, I believe, was taken out. Was Brett Rodwell taken out?
It could
illegally,
have
so
been,
it went back there for a penalty, and
Yeah.
then we got it right the second time.
Yes,
So there was a lot of celebrations there.
the same play actually, wasn't it? Pretty
it
much,
was,
yeah.
So,
That game, the 2012 game, who could forget that, where we scored the 2 tries at the end, like...
yeah, we want to forget round one though, don't we? the
Well,
opposite of that. But
I know.
It's quite a story to say that the opposite thing happened in the game later on that year. But
yeah, but they took 4 or 5 tackles to get their try. We done it in one, so you know.
Yeah, exactly. We straight from the kickoff. Although the rules now wouldn't have been as interesting because there was no timeouts between the kickoff, and because they took their time coming back from the kickoff, they were trying to run the clock down.
Yeah.
It stopped at 55 seconds, but we didn't even need that, did we?
No, and I never forget Dave Taylor's comments after the game. He said he looked up and he saw 3 of us and 2 of them, so he just thought, go there, you know. Like,
it worked, and Dave Taylor wasn't he a skillful player?
Yes, the game against Canberra, down in Canberra, where we came back on the Anzac Day in 2010, when he scored the try and he ran to the corner. Do you remember that? I'm sure you do.
Yeah. Wasn't there one where he put a kick through and he dived on it just before it went dead as well?
Yeah, that was against Penrith.
Yeah, there was one against Penrith as well. So it just shows all types of skill that he has.
Yes.
I remember the week before they were talking about how good Billy Slater was doing it, and the size of Billy Slater compared to Dave Taylor. And when you've seen Dave Taylor doing it, such a big guy. So
yeah, such a big guy and so skillful, like you said. And you know, I think he didn't really reach his full potential, Dave Taylor.
Tell us about your journey, your experience in how you become part of the Burrow, or back when it was the Rabbitoh Army. Tell us about how you become involved there.
Well, that really grew because in the early 90s I'd go to the away games, and Don, when it was a Hill squad, would say, oh, here's a flag, and you know, you just get in there and wave the flags, and then it sort of progressed from that. And then was it 95, 96, around that era? Like, there weren't many of us, was there, in the Rabbitoh Army back in the day, you know, so...
It was funny because Super League happened and a lot of people were turned off the game, and from the Hill squad, just people kind of just disappeared.
Drifted
all of a
away,
sudden. Don Wells, as you spoke about, he was one of the leaders of the Hill squad and that, and all of a sudden they weren't turning up to games, and it was bare bones basically, but by the time 99 rocked around, it started becoming big again, and unfortunately we know what happened then.
Yes, I know, but 96, the core group of us, I think there was about 10 of us or something, that was sitting there, and then, you know, it's grown into what it is today, and, you know, it's fantastic to see where we've got to, because, you know, I think back to those days in the late 90s, and, you know, we could have a whole road to ourselves, basically, you know, whereas, you know, some games you can't move now, so...
Oh, it's definitely growth has been great for it, and you were speaking, you know, like before about your family and that, and you come over alone, and then all of a sudden your family followed and that. So
well, yeah, I don't know who the first ones were to come over with me. Actually, it's just so long ago. But well, I actually started sitting in Bay 38 because my sisters were sitting there originally back in the early 90s, because I didn't see them much, and then yeah, it's just continued on, and yeah, it's just feels like home now, the Burrow, even though I moved away for a little bit, but you know.
Well, you know, you haven't been around a lot in recent years because of work and that, and you've now got a new job, so it's going to be beneficial for you to attend more games. I mean, that
it will be.
That makes you happy, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, it does. Like, you don't know how much I miss being at the games. I used to drive my workmates crazy at work, watching on the phone. I'd have it on the little sink there. And I remember when we won the first round this year, the waitress, she said to me, oh, is this an important game? I said, every game's important when South play.
Well, we know you're absolutely tragic in that, and unfortunately at the end of 99, were excluded from the competition.
Yeah.
And Souths are a big part of not just your life, your family's life. Do you want to talk about how you got through that period and what you got up to?
How I got through it? Well, I actually went and tried different sports to watch. Like, I went to a few Swans games, tried rugby union, didn't like that. Went to one game and that weren't for me. So I could have seen myself going to more AFL games, but not as regular as South. But yeah, and I did not watch one game while we were out, which I'm sure is typical of many people, you know, because, you know, and I remember one time I was coming home from work or something, and the neighbour across the road, because it was Origin night, I think it was the first year we were out, he said, "You going to watch Origin?" I said, "No, I've got no interest." You know,
You talked about other sports and that. Is there any sports now that you watch outside of rugby league?
AFL now and again, but not a great deal.
Do you have a team that you go for in the AFL?
Collingwood.
Okay, they're doing quite well this year, aren't they? They're currently
they
first.
lost last night.
Okay.
So.
Well, that was a bad day for you because yesterday, Magic Round, we lost to Newcastle.
Yeah.
What about you? I know you're very much into the cricket as well. So.
Oh, yes, very much into me cricket. Still playing, so still running around.
Oh, that's good, but more the viewing side.
Oh, the viewing side of it.
Big Bash of that. Do you have a team in the Big Bash?
Thunder in the Big Bash. Yeah.
Okay, well, we went through the fight back, and then there was a very special day in that July of 2001. You want to go through the emotions that you went through that day?
Well, that was a big day for me because we actually signed the lease to move from Bonnyrigg to Macquarie Fields that day. And I remember driving around, I was around the Meccano set, I was driving down to the club. And when I heard it, I just burst into tears, like seriously,
It's an emotional day. And the next day, I know we played up in Gosford against the Minor Bunnies.
Yeah.
Did you make the trip up for that?
No, unfortunately I was stuck at work. So, you know, I was just in a situation where I was working Saturdays at the time. So no, I didn't go to that. But I remember seeing a lot of the videos from it and everything. So, but yeah, it was an emotional time, you know, when we came back. And of course, the Charity Shield, the first one back was just like, you know.
It was a huge celebration, wasn't it? And
it was.
And it didn't matter about the result there. It ended up being a draw, which made it even better. But I think we got 35,000 that day, something like that.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
For you know, a trial match, but back then it was something bigger. So it was just a celebration. And then we played Roosters round one and got thumped that day. I think it was something like 42-6 or something.
Yeah, and
like
we
that.
scored in the last minute, which, you know, was probably the best moment of the game for us.
Yeah,
clearly, but
it didn't take long. It was round two down in Canberra. We got our first win that year.
Yeah, I was on that. I was down there that night. But, yeah.
That was great. I mean, we had a spare parts team put together at the last minute, yet here we are, round two. We had a win.
Yeah. The standout from that night was a try just before half time. I think Brent Gross scored it from memory. It was pretty much length of the field, which was a bloody good try, actually.
Your memory of things that, you know, games over the years, things that actually happened in the game, are just quite remarkable, you know. So
wow.
It's something that, you know, you hold on really well, and you keep bringing up these obscure stats and things like that. David Middleton, watch out. So we're going to go to the 5th of October 2014. A day in all our lives that we'll never forget. Talk us through that.
Very emotional day. Like, it's a day that I didn't think I'd ever see. And I'm sure a lot of people didn't think they'd see South win another comp. The moment I remember most is probably when Kirisomi Abba scored, and Adam kicked the goal, and Aaron picked me up from behind, and it's just like, you know, it's just, you know, that was the moment I think we all knew that we were going to win. So that was emotional, but the whole day was just, just...
Well, give us a bit of a rundown on what your day was like.
Trying to think what time we left. About 9-ish or something. Got the train into Homebush. Watched the lower grades, although the second game I didn't watch much of because it was too hot.
Yeah, it was very hot day.
So I was hanging out the back. And then I think I was a ball of nerves when I seen us on the screen because I thought, oh, South look nervous. But obviously I was wrong. But I also remember Canterbury delaying coming out, which sort of built the nerves more.
Well, they actually got a fine for that, so
really?
it backfired on them though, didn't it?
Well, it did, but I thought in the first half we were in control, but the fact we're only 6-0 up did worry me. And when they scored early in the second half, it's like, oh, shit, we're going to blow this. But when George Burgess scored, we sort of took control from that. But
yeah, well, the way I remember it for myself was I was never nervous. Even when we were down 12-0 against the Roosters, a lot of people going, here we go again. I felt quite confident.
Quite calm?
Yeah, it was a weird feeling for me because I like you, I get very nervous and that. But even the grand final, I never felt like we were going to lose that. We just were too dominant against them. And while they did score to make it 6-all, I just felt we were too strong from all across the park. So talk about after the game, the celebrations and that.
After the game, went back to the juniors for a little bit, couldn't get in. And then I think we ended up going to Macca's or something and getting home at like 4 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning, and then we were up to do it all again to go back to Redfern to celebrate. So
It was a day we'll never forget, will it be? And COVID hit. COVID hit, and in 2021, of course, we make the grand final. We can't be there. How hard was that for you, watching South in the grand final? The second grand final in your lifetime that you can actually remember.
Yeah.
And, it was the second grand final in your lifetime. And to not be able to go, how much did that affect you?
Well, I suppose you just took it for what it was at the time. But luckily I got the night off from work, so I was able to actually watch it. I would have rather have watched it with the family, although watched it with a family friend. But look, I thought we could have won, but the bounce of the ball didn't go our way. And when Crichton took the intercept, it was like,
but that wasn't over yet.
It wasn't over.
And we did really well to get back in that game, and Nathan Cleary really kicked us out of the game, but we somehow scored a try and had a conversion that missed. And even after that, Cam Murray made a break, and instead of going right, we went left. And had we gone right to where Benji was, there was an overlap there, and what could have been.
We could have scored, and I just felt Penrith had a lot of the ball early in that second half, and we kept turning them away. And I thought if we could just keep turning them away and hit the lead, we could have went on with it. But it wasn't to be. But look, they had a great year that year.
Friendships are a big part of the Burrow, and I've spoken about that to other people and that.
Yep.
Talk about some of the friendships that you made.
Well, of course, with you, Michelle, in the early days, Rusty. I remember. Do you remember the trip to Orange we took?
Yes, that's right. It was against Penrith in a trial match.
Yes.
And was it Brasher that kicked the winning goal right on full time?
Yeah,
from the
sideline, And I think we went off like we won the grand final because South didn't win much in those days.
That's true, but yeah.
Winning a trial meant something back then,
Well, of course, we had a lot of signings that year. Tim Brasher was one of them. There was David Hall, who didn't really play many games for us. Chris Caruana.
Jimmy Smith.
Yeah, there was a few others as well. So it was
Rodwell.
Yeah, Brett Rodwell, and it was like we're finally signing players after not getting many. Of course, the year before we got Julian O'Neill halfway through the year and that. So, but yeah, friendships are a big part of the Burrow and all that, and so are the away trips. And I remember for so long you were known as the jinx of the away trips. Every away trip you went on, South lost. But I do remember your first win. Was playing up on the Gold Coast.
Yes,
wasn't
it was. Yeah.
Talk about the feeling of getting your first away trip win and finally getting that monkey off the back.
Well, it was good because, like you said, I hadn't seen an away win. Every time I went away, we lost. Every other time I wasn't on the trips, we seemed to win. Like that Cowboys game, I wasn't there, and a few others. But yeah, it was a great win. 2012 from memory. We won 22-18. Had a little bit of a scare because we were pretty much in control of that game, and Gold Coast came back at us at the end, but we held on. So I think the best away trip, though, was 2014, the Brisbane game. The Greg Inglis try, that's probably the best individual try I've ever seen.
That was on Anzac Day
too. Yeah, it was. But everyone remembers that try, but the game itself was an absolute cracking game of football because it was Alex Johnson's debut, which he ended up scoring from an Adam Reynolds bomb.
And I spoke about this before, he was on the right wing as well.
Yes, he was in the early days. He was on the right wing, not the left wing. So we got the 14-0, and then Brisbane came back and took the lead, and then we had to fight back, and then Reynolds with a penalty at the end from 40 odd metres. But then it still weren't over.
Took a quick tap when we got the penalty, and everyone's going, "What are you doing?" And
yes.
Then he got another penalty because they were inside
offside.
the 10, so it actually made the kick easier for Adam.
But then they got the ball from the kick-off, and we had to defend that as well, and they went very close in that left-hand corner, I think it was,
We held on. So we've had a couple of games like that up there against the Broncos. I remember it was a spectacular tackle by Damien Cook that stopped a try.
Yeah, unfortunately I wasn't at that game, but I remember watching it on TV, and we scored a couple of really good tries that night too.
Yeah, well, something that's very close to your heart, you know, you can talk about a very special person in your life, your Auntie Judy. And I know this is very, very hard for you, but, you know, do you want to talk about her?
My memories of her at the games, you know, she'd blow up at the littlest thing. Even when we won, sometimes she wasn't happy, but, you know, the joy that she had was just fantastic. So, you know, it is hard to talk about, but I know she's up there and she's probably saying they're bloody lazy, which, you know, sometimes they are, but, you know, she loved it. She loved the Rabbitohs and the friendship she made, so...
Look, I only know too much how much Souths mean to her, your whole family, and that. I see it all the time. I remember the last time we seen her, her last game was actually the tribute to John Sattler one against Manly where we kicked the field goal. Next day, myself and your cousin Patricia, my partner, went in and I showed her the video of the Lachlan Ilias field goal.
I can imagine the smile on her face.
It was, but you know, what she did was she was tapping Pat to say, come and have a look at this. She just wanted to share that moment with her, like Pat obviously knowing it, it's like, but she just wanted to share that moment with her and that, and just shows how much South meant to her, and also having Charlie visit her in hospital dressed as Reggie.
Yeah, that was very special for her. Very special.
But a lovely person. I remember on the bus with her. She'd, you know, back in the 90s.
She used to save you a seat, didn't she?
Yeah, she did. She didn't want anyone sitting next to her. She was barred everyone, but she said no. As soon as I walked on, she's telling me to come there, sit with her.
Yes, I do remember.
And obviously, you know, she's deaf and non-verbal, but she said so much, didn't she? Like you just knew
well, in her body language, she did. Yes.
All the attention was on her all the time,
I
wasn't
know.
it? So.
Well, that's what she wanted, wasn't it?
And she got it. So.
Yes, that bad, yes.
Yeah, but you know, and it just shows that the memories that you have over the years. And, you know, you've shared a lot with us today, and we do appreciate having you on here. But we no doubt there's going to be many more memories and hopefully many more premierships for us.
Well, let's hope so. This year ain't going as well as we would have thought, but look, there's been too many injuries at the moment, and you know, at the moment we're fielding a lot of players that wouldn't normally be in the side. So you know,
that's true. But you know, for people out there, you know, you shared your experience in the Burrow. What last thoughts about the Burrow, and what would you say about people wanting to join in?
I think you would, you know, you just make so many friendships. Like there's two people I got to mention, Aaron and Michael, that, you know, have been like family for a long, long time. Michael did the podcast
with me, so that easily done. But
you know, and your friendship and, you know, now you're in a relationship with my cousin, but, you know, but that's sort of weird, isn't it? Because we've known each other for like 30 odd years, so, you know, it's just...
That is, it's strange how life turns out or whatever.
Well, it is, yeah. And, you know, and there's too many people to mention, really.
Oh, there is, but there's a lot of people and a lot of faces as well. Like, you may not know their names, but you know their faces
that is
as well.
true. I actually found out two of the guys I play cricket with sit in the Burrow these days too, so...
Well, one last question. The Burrow's built on a standing singing culture. What are some of your favourite Burrow songs?
That's a hard question. In a Town Where I Was Born was probably one of the favourites back in the day.
Yes, to the tune of Yellow Submarine.
Yeah, I don't think we sing it as much now, do we?
We usually bring it out once during a game or whatever. Cause it's quite a long song and that. And we need to have a bit of a crowd to get that one going because a lot of people don't understand it. But what about the banter songs?
The banter?
Yeah, so against the Roosters, against other teams.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, I sort of don't always join in those songs sometimes. I find them a bit... But, Botany Road has to be a favourite of everyone's because we're going to win the game when we're singing that. When did that start, actually? Around 2012-ish?
Probably just before that. And, it was Steve Edwards come up with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that was one that he came up with, and it's just stuck
it's
on.
Just
and I'll tell you that day, starting Botany Road on Grand Final day, where the amount of people that joined in that was
that was amazing.
Best experiences.
Yeah,
just even seeing everyone getting up singing it.
Yeah. Well, I know Phil Guild picked up on it on one of the games.
2012 against Parramatta.
Where someone mentioned, what are they singing? And he said, it's Take Me Home Botany Road and everything. So, but no, the singing and everything, it's just a great atmosphere. And I think you should just come along, meet new people and make a lot of friendships. And that's what it's about.
It is. It certainly is. And, supporting the team that you love and finding like-minded people. You make the best friendships. I've mentioned it before. Two of my best mates, I was best man at their wedding.
Yeah.
And I've met my partner through South and that, and I've seen many more people that have had partner and kids because of South Sydney. So, but it's been great chatting with you, Darin, and no doubt, we're going to be seeing you at more games now, which is a great thing.
Oh, thankfully, yes.
If you want to be a part of this, please reach out to us. Don't forget to like and subscribe. You can contact us through the email below, or if you want to contact us through Facebook or whatever, or even just leave a comment on here. We'll do our best to get you on here and learn about your journey about being a South supporter. For now, I'm your host, Josh, and with me, this is Darin. Go the Bunnies.
Up the road, mate.
South Sydney! South Sydney!